Hello and welcome to Your Stocks in the Mumbai News Studio. I'm Ekta Batra and with me is Vinny Motiwala. Well, it's turning out to be a session where we're just about consolidating for the frontline indices. We have the Bank Nifty, which has been under pressure. So no real uptick which has taken place for the Bank Nifty and no worsening which has taken place for the advanced decline ratio. So static is what you'd have to say today in terms of trade. We have the mid-cap index, which is up around 100 odd points. Overall, a lot of stocks, however, buzzing around. So we have a lot to cover in the next 30 minutes in terms of queries coming in from viewers. Hi, Vinny.
Hi, Ekta. Good afternoon. From the broader market front, it's a good afternoon coming in. And we're watching out for pharma names. Let's keep an eye out on all of that. Newland Labs is buzzing in trade. We had Wockhardt Pharma also that is buzzing in trade. And a lot of mid-cap movers like something like an BSC is also in focus today. But let's get started with all the stock-related queries. And today joining in with us, we have our experts. We have Shahina Mukadam, independent market expert, as well as Vaishali Parekh, head of technical research at Prabhudas Lilladher, to answer all your stock-related queries. Vaishali and Shahina, both of you all, very good afternoon. And Vaishali, just want to understand, before we end the week, we had a bit of a volatility this week. How are you looking at in terms of the markets, any levels that we should be keeping an eye out on specifically for the Nifty and the Nifty Bank?
Very good afternoon, ladies. Yes, so it has been quite a narrow range as far as the major index is concerned. So let's talk about Nifty to start with. Well, it is continuing to be in a narrow range of 24,900 as support and 25,200 as resistance. And since 2-3 days, we've been observing that is what has been happening. So unless and until we see a decisive move on either side, there will be a clarity as to which way the market is heading for. So even the advanced decline ratio, if we talk about, is quite flat. So is the case with volatility index. So I guess it should continue to be in this range. As far as Bank Nifty is also concerned, yesterday we saw a good move coming in. But however, now once again, on near-term basis, we would say 50,800 would act as support and 51,800 is a resistance. So it's a wait-and-watch scenario.
Okay, all right. It's a wait-and-watch scenario which is coming in. Well, let's get to our first query then. We have Sagar, who writes to us from Bangalore, holds 4,000 shares of Bharat Electronics, which is bought at around 299. So he's sitting on a loss at this point in time, wants to know what to do, whether he should book his loss or he should remain invested in this particular counter. Well, Shahina, over to you. What's your sense on this?
Well, I would suggest continue to hold. Despite him having made losses, I think he would recover it. The first quarter numbers were excellent. I expect even the second quarter to be good. In terms of valuations also, it is decent compared to the rest of the PSU pack. And the order book position is very healthy. So it's better to continue to hold on to the stock.
Okay, better to hold on to the stock is the word coming in from China. But Vaishali, on the technicals, how are you looking at Bharat Electronics? What's the word for this?
Well, the long-term trend is pretty much intact. We saw the recent high of 340 and now it did make a low of around 270 levels. It's attempting to show a bounce back. So depending on your time period as to how much he or she is ready to hold on, I think it's a hold for now, because once we see the stock moving about 290 and sustaining above, it's back on track for higher targets. So, and I would, this is in support with overall, if you see full defense pack, is showing a sign of a bounce back and attractive levels to buy. So I would say stocks like BEL, if it's not for trading perspective, continue holding and in fact keep adding in dips.
Okay. That's a word on BEL. Let's move on. And Akash T is writing to us from Patna. He's holding 50 shares of Nalco at a price of ₹30. Wants to know the future prospect of his investments. Shahina, I'm going to come to you because, obviously we heard a lot about the China stimulus points coming in. So overall, how should we play this stock especially? What should the viewer be doing now?
I would suggest that you can continue to hold the stock, because aluminum prices have actually moved up quite substantially, and this is despite not having any news immediately on the China Plus One, but that is definitely there on the cards, and Nalco is doing pretty well in terms of managing their balance sheet also. They've got good growth plans in place. So I would suggest Nalco as a hold.
Okay, you'd suggest Nalco as a hold. Vaishali, what about you?
So chartically, it's showing quite a robust move. So I would say the trend is so strong. And I would say now for near term, 205 would act as a stop loss. And I think the way the stock is moving, it's ready to go towards 235 to 240 for a short-term perspective. So I would say hold.
Okay, all right. Well, we now have Manoj Jain, who writes to us from Chennai. He holds 40 shares of Zomato, which he's bought at 70. He's asking if he can buy more shares at the current price. So he's currently sitting on a profit. His buy price was 70 odd rupees. He's asking if there's more upside from these current levels. Shahina, coming to you in terms of the fundamentals, do you think Zomato has seen a good amount of upside? Or do you think that there's anything about the fundamentals that could, possibly result in a further upside? And would you recommend a buy at these levels?
Well, see, Ekta, by itself, Zomato looks like a good bet even in the long term, considering that it is moved into profits. Blinkit is doing well, expanding its spread. Having said that, I would continue to hold Zomato, but if I want to add to the sector, I believe you can keep, Swiggy, the IPO is there on the cards. And you can add actually Swiggy, which in my view, the valuations are slightly, will be better than Zomato at current levels in terms of their PE and other valuation parameters. So you can keep some powder dry for investment in Swiggy.
Sure. Okay. Vaishali, just a quick view from you on Zomato as well. Do you expect still a further upside?
Well, the stock chartically is quite flat right now. So if someone has to add at these levels, I would say no, because market is quite vulnerable. Look for a opportunity to get into the stock at around 250 levels. That would be ideal. But contrary to that, if stock moves above 290, then it's back on a strong trend, and then one can look for a 300, 310. But ideal technical levels to get into the stock would be around 250, 55.
Okay, all right. Well, on that note, we need to take a break with the news that we have the markets in just about consolidatory mode, but the Bank Nifty underperforming. We'll take a quick break. Up next, more queries. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're watching Your Stocks, and we still have our experts with us, Shahina Mukadam as well as Vaishali Parekh, to solve all your stock-related queries. This next query, we have a caller joining in with us this afternoon, Mr. Deepak Kishan, who's joining in with us from BR, and he has a query on Pbr Inox. Mr. Deepak, can you hear us? And you can take your query on Pbr.
Yeah, ma'am. I had purchased three shares of Pbr Inox around 1.5 years back. So the stock hasn't performed after that. It has consolidated in below the range, and I'm still holding it at a loss of around 22%. So I just wanted to know the long-term view for this, because I think it needs patience. But how long should I hold, to exit the stock or book profit, and
Sure.
what should be my strategy?
Sure, okay. So it's a long-term query. Pbr Inox purchased 3 shares at around 2,077 rupees. Shahina, long-term query, I'll take it to you. What should the viewer be doing now? We are not seeing that many lineup of movies, that have performed too well. What are we watching out for now, and what should they be doing with their stock?
Even if the investor had invested for 5 years, you still not have made much money. In fact, it's only in the last 6 months that it's given a little bit of, up move. At the same time, I think this up move is largely priced into the current levels. The stock also has moved up. And basically, while the performance in FY24 was much, much better than FY23, I think, at current levels, it's still expensive. And if you're going to hold it for the long term, I think the overall technology is changing, so one cannot really extrapolate into, say, 5 years, 10 years. So you have to look at it for the shorter term, and for the shorter term, I think it is fully priced. The debt is very also high. So in terms of balance sheet also, I'm not very comfortable, and it's a very over-owned stock. It's just held by a lot of mutual funds. So I would actually switch. I think there are better opportunities in the current market.
Okay, Vaishali, what would your thoughts be, considering that the stock has done modestly well as compared to other mid-caps in the past 6 months? But China is not, very bullish on the fundamentals at this point. Technically, how does it look?
So I totally agree. Actually, it has been hardly a momentum stock or hardly a strong trend. But I would still say that now he's holding, may as well hold for some more time, because right now it's just trying to breach the resistance levels of 1640. And if that happens and if it sustains, then I think he can look for a target of 1750. That could be the ideal level to exit. And if now it doesn't succeed to move beyond this, I think keep the stop loss of 1550 to exit.
Okay, all right. We now have Shashank, who writes to us from Bihar. He holds 30 shares of Prestige Estates, which he's bought at around 400 odd rupees. He's sitting on a good profit on that one, excellent profit in fact. He's asking whether to hold or to exit at these current levels. Well, Prestige Estates has been a multi-bagger from the time Shashank has bought it. What would you recommend on, let's start with the technicals. Vaishali, on Prestige?
So overall, realty sector has done quite well. And I think right now Prestige is going through a long consolidation. So it's right now it's in a very narrow range. 1700 is the support, and the resistance in the near term is around 1970. So this is the band that one is observing in Prestige Estates. I think for now, look for a target of 1970. And if it still moves beyond, one can look for a target of 2050 to 2200.
Okay, and China, what's your word coming in on Prestige Estate? Then, it's performed better than the Nifty Realty, at least when you're looking at it in the last year. So what would you be watching out for here? Prestige Estate a good bet, or maybe you would switch to something else?
Well, you can continue holding, in my view, Prestige Estates. They recently did the QIP, raised about 5,000 crores. The issue price was close to about 1,674, which is like a pretty decent level, considering that their balance sheet also now, after this issue, which they can use to repay the debt equity will be maintained at about 0.7, which is not bad for a real estate company, especially Prestige, which is expanding a lot. They've got a lot of ongoing projects. Bangalore, in fact, I think this quarter will be pretty good, because Bangalore, they launched a pretty large project, and that I think some of the revenue will come in this quarter. Also, they have got other plans for, across India, they've got various plans. They've got Mumbai, Hyderabad accounts for about 50%, Bangalore accounts for about 50% of revenue, and they've got projects ongoing in all these sectors. So to that extent, I think valuations also are not stretched considering the medium to longer term. So I would suggest hold.
Okay, suggesting a hold here. Next query is from Srinivas Vemuri, who's writing to us from New Delhi. He's planning to invest in Bajaj Hindustan Sugar and Hindustan Foods. Wants to know if these are good stocks to invest in at the current levels. Vaishali?
Well, I think Bajaj Hindustan, I wouldn't recommend a sugar stock, at least for investment, because it's all very cyclical and seasonal. So I technically also it doesn't match my view, because 37 rupees is the support level and 44, 45 is the resistance. So that would be the strategy that he can hold if for trading strategy.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Vaishali as well as Shahina, thank you very much for joining in and giving us all of your perspective on a lot of these stocks. Well, we leave the markets in just about a range-bound fashion for the Nifty, for the Sensex and for the mid-cap index, but the Bank Nifty is the one which is under pressure. Advanced decline ratio still holding on the advancing side, so let's see whether that sustains in the last 1 hour. That's all the time that we have on your stocks. Closing bell up next.